Now, there's going to be a part of this ceremony where the 4 sheriffs here are going to be recognized, but I cannot get down off the stage unless I say something about these sheriffs, okay? These are 4 leaders sitting here, and they deserve to be here, and they deserve to be recognized. And you know what, folks? One of the problems in our society right now is a lack of fundamental leadership. We have a lack of leadership in our families, in our businesses, and in government. But we have 4 leaders right here, and I want to say something about each one of them just for a second. First of all, my sheriff, who I'm very proud of and I consider a friend, Mike Helmick. Listen to this leadership. Listen to this. Obama came out with 23 executive orders on January 16th. Guess what date Sheriff Helmick came out with his letter saying he's going to stand up for the Constitution? January 16th. No delay at all. I want you to listen to these words, because these words are not only in his letter that he wrote to protect you, but it was also in the resolution that Boone County passed last week. It says this. This is Mike's words, by the way. I do not believe the federal government or any individual in the federal government has the right to dictate to the states, counties, or municipalities any mandate, regulation, or administrative rule that violates the U.S. Constitution or its various amendments. I would view any such mandate, regulation, or administrative rule illegal and refuse to carry it out. Yeah. So raise your hands if you live in Boone County. Awesome. All right. So the other quote I want to make is, how many people here live in Kent County? All right, you also have an extremely pro-gun sheriff. Let me read to you the last sentence and a half of his letter. And I want you to pay particular attention to the last sentence. Chuck Constable wrote, I cannot and will not participate in the enforcement of unconstitutional legislation. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I applaud all 4 of you. As far as the last number I've seen is 484 sheriffs have actually signed letters or made pledges in the last month saying that they will protect the Constitution and the Second Amendment, and I think that's admirable. And I really wish that more chief of police would do that too. I think there's an interesting role here with the sheriffs. First of all, sheriffs are elected. That means the sheriffs are responsible and accountable to you. Okay, as opposed to, this is nothing bad about chief police, because I think we have a good chief police even here in Florence. But the point is that they're appointed and they're accountable to a mayor or somebody in a bureaucratic position. And I want you to understand how unique a sheriff is. A sheriff has the authority or the responsibility to protect you, and they do that in one of 2 ways. They do that by putting the bad guys in jail so they can keep you from harm. But just as important is protecting you from unconstitutional laws. And we are lucky in Northern Kentucky that we have 4 counties that all join each other, and these sheriffs will work together to protect you from such things from happening. Let me give you a couple examples of what's happened. There was a sheriff somewhere in the country where the FDA was going to do a raid on a farmer for distributing, drinking unpasteurized milk and crossing the state line with unpasteurized milk. Do you know that's illegal, by the way? Should that be illegal? I mean, what did we do before pasteurized milk? Centuries and centuries and centuries of millennium of mankind. Well, this sheriff actually prevented the federal authorities from doing a raid on this farm. And he escorted them out of the county and said, you know what, you're not welcome in our county when you're doing stuff like this. And if you return, we will put you in jail. Bravo. Another example is a sheriff that there was a forest fire coming towards a town, a community, and they decided to cut down 100 yards of trees to cause a fire block so the fire didn't make it to the community. Well, the Federal Bureau of Land Management or something like that showed up and said, you can't do that, and we're coming back with the means to enforce this. This particular sheriff formed a posse and had 100 citizens stand behind them when they returned, and they were told they were not welcome in the county, and they left. I think that's awesome. So I have a question for you. This is a very critical question. If the sheriffs have a confrontation with an unconstitutional law, I want to know from you, how many of you would show up and support the sheriff against violations to our Constitution? So the message I have for all 4 sheriffs are, we have your back, sheriffs, and you have our support. I don't know if we have any of the commissioners from Boone County here today. I know the judge executive was unable to make it, but I do want to at least make a comment that if you live in Boone County, your fiscal court unanimously voted to remove those no gun signs from all county buildings in Boone County. And last week, they wrote a resolution supporting Mike Helmick and his comments and said, we make the same resolution. Do you know how powerful it is? And they deserve a round of applause. Now, if you live in Campbell, Kenton, or Grant County, or any other county in Kentucky, I urge you to push both those resolutions, that resolution and ordinance in your county. Because if your local leaders are not willing to stand up and do something as simple as that, you have a fundamental problem. There's another gentleman here that's going to be talking. He's our keynote speaker. It's U.S. Congressman Thomas Massey. And I've gotten to know Thomas through his run for office. And I want to tell you, he is an honorable man. He's a member of the NRA. He has a permit. He's a member of the Gun Owners of America. And listen to this. He has a sticker on his car that says, if you know how many guns you have, you don't have enough. That is your U.S. Congressman. I'm good at praising people. John Schickel, stand up for a moment, please. Okay. John Schickel, Senator, Kentucky Senator John Schickel, is co-sponsor of a bill, SB 129, that prohibits the enforceability of federal gun laws in Kentucky. That is leadership right there. We have 3 House of Representatives here. They're all 3 here. HB 168, Diane St. Ange, Sal Santora, and Adia Washner. Where are you? There's Adia. There's Sal. They are sponsoring a bill, HB 168. It says, we do not recognize federal statutes that deny or abridge the right to keep and bear arms. We have leaders here. I would like to encourage every elected official that's in this room to think about the following 4 questions. Whenever you look at a rule, an ordinance, or a statute, I want you to ask 4 questions. Is it the right thing to do? Is it constitutional? Is it absolutely needed? And can we afford it? If we ask those 4 simple questions every time a law was being discussed in committee, we would have a much better country than we already have. I want to now ask, I'm not just putting the ones that I just mentioned on the spot, but I am asking for some Kentucky state legislators to join me this year in writing some bills that we can propose next year to improve concealed carry in Kentucky, even though I think the ultimate solution is a constitutional carry bill, which means you don't even need a permit to be able to carry a concealed weapon.